Now, I've had my share of gaming laptops all across 2021 and years before that as well, but I recently took delivery of one from MSI that's a little bit different in a sense, not so gaudy in terms of the flashing lights and all that. It has some nice lights in terms of the keyboard and that stuff, and highly customizable. It's an aluminum chassis that has rock solid build quality. I'm talking about the MSI Delta 15. This is the first time I've got a chance to look at an all AMD laptop with both a CPU and GPU, discrete GPU, that is all AMD. It's also paired with the Ryzen 5800H processor, an 8-core 16-thread processor. We've seen that one before. This is my first chance looking at that new Radeon graphics card. Let's take a look at it today and see if this is worth your money. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the MSI Delta 15. Coming up.
And while we take a look at the specs, I want to let everybody know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, that I'm not being paid by MSI. I'm not being sponsored by MSI. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. MSI is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this review unit is on loan from MSI, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, as far as pricing is concerned, I found it over at Amazon for $1539.99 US. For those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. And that one will get you the same specs as my review unit. So if you're interested, again, check out that link below. And with the specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. Now, keep in mind, this is not the retail packaging. This is a generic box for my review unit. Just keep that in mind. You'll be getting an actual retail packaging when you do buy it. And once you lift the lid, you are greeted by the unit itself. Very premium looking, very nice feeling, and it's a pretty light laptop for a gaming laptop. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's see what else you get inside the box. You get a 240-watt power adapter that uses a barrel pin connection, and you also get the extension cord as well. Now, looking at this unit for the first time and holding it and feeling it, the cover is made of metal, pretty rock solid, very little flex, very little give in terms of the chassis. So you'd like to see that. And you're looking at 1.96 kilograms or 4.32 pounds. So it's a pretty portable and lightweight gaming laptop, not something we normally see. And the overall aesthetics look good. It's not overly gaudy or anything like some of these other gaming laptops with all the lights and everything. This is an understated look, and I think it has a rock solid build. Okay, let's check out the port selection. Let's start off on the left side where you get your power port, a USB-C port, a USB-A port next to that, and finally a 3.5 millimeter headphone microphone combo jack. And moving over to the right side, you get another USB-A port, a second USB-C port, an HDMI port that supports up to 4K 60, finally a Kensington lock port. But one port you don't get, an SD card reader. Now, to get inside, all you need to do is remove the screws, remove the bottom plate, and you're in. But the fun begins there because you will have to remove the motherboard to access the 2 memory module slots and the 2 SSD slots. But once you do, of course, this is upgradable by the user, and you can upgrade it, of course. The RAM is DDR4 3200 RAM. My unit has 16 gigabytes, 2 8 gigabyte sticks. And the SSD is a PCIe NVMe, and I'm seeing Gen 3 speeds, which are good enough, of course, but it's not the fastest Gen 4 that we've been seeing as of late. Now, as far as wireless is concerned, you're looking at Wi-Fi 6E with Bluetooth 5.2. I've had no issues with either one, both working well. Okay, let's talk about the display, and what we're looking at here is a 15.6-inch display with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. That is a full HD resolution, and it has a 16:9 aspect ratio, and it has 141 pixels per inch. And it has a high refresh rate. This is a 240 hertz display, so you're going to get the really smooth scrolling, the very fluid experience, and it's a more enhanced gaming experience due to that high refresh rate. That's going to be great, especially if you are a hardcore gamer. Now, I would say it's not the brightest display, coming in at 277 nits. Not much of a problem, though, because it's a matte display. There's no unnecessary glare or reflections that you'd get with a glossy display, so keep that in mind. Now, it has some really deep blacks, good contrast, good white point, and it also has a decent color accuracy score, a Delta E score of 2.05. I'd like to see it below 2, but 2.05 is okay. It's not bad. And I would say decent coverage of the color gamut, 100% sRGB, which is good, 72% Adobe RGB, 72% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 66% NTSC. But I suspect most of you are not buying this to do color grading, Photoshop video editing. You're really buying this to game on. And for that, this is great, especially with that 240 hertz refresh rate. Now, one thing you'll notice is a bit of a chin on the bottom, and you'll have some pretty slim side bezels, and you'll have a bit of a notch on the top, a reverse notch. That's because it will house the webcam. Now, speaking of the webcam, let's check it out now. So this is the webcam on the MSI Delta 15, a 720p 30 frames per second webcam. It's not an infrared webcam, so you cannot log in with face recognition with Windows Hello, for those wondering. There's also no fingerprint scanner, by the way, either. Again, a gaming laptop, not surprising, but it does have the webcam, of course, and you can do Zoom calls, you can do work from home stuff. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the internal mics? I am curious to know. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger. It has some pretty sturdy hinges, so that's been pretty good. And it folds back 180 degrees, giving you the perfect viewing angle each and every time. Now, when it comes to the keyboard, I'm actually a big fan of it. I like it. It has some pretty decent tactile feedback, good key travel. I didn't feel like my fingers would bottom out. It actually had a pretty good feel to it, especially for a gaming laptop. That's what you want to have. No numpad for those number crunchers out there that are wondering why this 15.6-inch device doesn't have a numpad, or your gamers who use the numpad. It doesn't have that, but of course you could always add an external one if you do want one. Now, when it comes to the backlighting on the keyboard, you do have a lot of controls, keeping it all one color, keeping it a basic white or a basic blue, as you see here, and it looks pretty nice. Although you can pulsate the lights, you can do all sorts of patterns, different colors. So again, a gaming laptop, you have that control. But again, I like the fact that it is highly customizable. You do get that customization that you really want. It also has a precision touchpad that I thought was pretty responsive. I had no complaints. Two-finger scrolling was buttery smooth. Everything seemed to work as advertised. The Delta 15 sports a 4-cell 82 watt-hour battery, and it did 8 hours and 44 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. And for a gaming laptop, that's actually pretty good. So you could expect with real-world mixed usage anywhere from about 6 to 7 hours, depending on what you're doing. Of course, if you're doing high-intensive gaming, you're going to do much less. You'll definitely want to be plugged in to get, obviously, longevity out of that because, again, the battery will run a lot quicker under heavy load. That's for sure, but pretty good numbers when it comes to the battery. Now, they do supply you with that 240 watt power adapter, and it takes about a little less than 2 hours for a full charge if you want to get it from 0 to full. Now, as far as the speakers are concerned, actually pretty decent for a gaming laptop. Usually we don't get great speakers, although if you want the more enhanced experience when it comes to the audio, get a good pair of headphones or a good headset, especially designed for gaming. But as far as the speakers are concerned, they definitely work and when you need it in a pinch. The Delta 15 sports the Ryzen 7 5800H CPU. We've seen that before, 8 cores, 16 threads, a really good performer. And of course, this is my first time checking out the AMD Radeon RX 6700M discrete GPU. Now, this has 10 gigabytes of GDDR6 video memory, and I'm really impressed by the numbers. As you can see from these benchmarks, this is a real powerhouse. And you're going to look at this to do gaming, and as you can see from these numbers, very impressive, especially if you go with the full HD high settings. You're going to get very playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles, and as you see from these results, this is a workhorse indeed. I had no problems playing Cyberpunk 2077, older titles like GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, The Witcher 3. I think you get my drift. And when I ran the Prime 95 stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under heavy load, the CPU would turbo boost to about 4.4 gigahertz for about 10 minutes and reach a core temperature of 88 degrees Celsius. Then it would maintain anywhere between 3.1 and 3.9 gigahertz and stayed pretty cool at 77 degrees Celsius, maintaining pretty good clock speeds, translating into pretty good performance. So very, very minor throttling detected. It maintained good clock speeds. You can expect good performance from this laptop. And as far as the surface temperatures are concerned, it would get pretty warm on the top of the keyboard, as you see here. And on the underside, you'll notice that it can get pretty hot. So I wouldn't keep it on your lap when you're doing heavy gaming and stuff like that. Keep it on a desk or a table. So you will notice it as far as those surface temperatures are concerned. Now, as far as the fan noise is concerned, they will kick in under heavy load. You will notice them, but not overly loud. I've heard worse. Definitely noticeable, though, so that's something to bear in mind. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the MSI Delta 15? And I gotta say, my first experience with an all AMD laptop here, we're talking about a discrete AMD GPU paired with that AMD Ryzen 7 5800H. You could also get it, by the way, with the Ryzen 9 5900 series, but I have the one with the 5800H, and I gotta say, performance was very good. Gaming performance was very good. Office performance, productivity, such as Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, this can definitely do the job. You could do video editing on it. I'm very impressed with that Radeon graphics. Now, as far as that strong gaming performance, you saw the numbers, that speaks for themselves. Stylish looks, I like the way this look. It's not overly gaudy or something like that. Now, we normally see from a gaming laptop a little bit more understated, a little bit more classy looking. Now, if you're willing to dig into this laptop, you can change out the RAM. There are 2 RAM slots, 2 SSD slots that are accessible to the user, but of course it does require you to do a little bit more work, having to access the motherboard and remove it so you can access those modules and so forth. Good battery life out of this, as you saw from the numbers. Decent speakers for a gaming laptop, and it had pretty decent thermals, although it will get kind of hot, especially under heavy load, so just something to keep in mind. But good thermals nonetheless, very little thermal throttling. I like the 15.6-inch display. The 240 hertz refresh rate is great, especially for gaming, although I would have liked to have seen it a little bit brighter. No SD card reader for those creatives out there and so forth, a little bit disappointing. And the 720p webcam, not bad, although the audio was pretty good out of the internal mics, I thought, but decent choice. Again, I would have preferred a 1080p webcam. And I think MSI did a really good job here, especially with this all AMD combo between the CPU and the GPU. I can recommend this for sure, especially if you're in the gaming market. This is one to look at.
So what do you think about this bad boy, the Delta 15? And I gotta say, very impressed. This is an all metal case here. This is a rock solid, really sturdy chassis. I love the build quality, sturdy hinges. Nice gray color on this, of course. It's got minimal branding, although you'll see that branding right here, of course. Not too over the top that we see with a lot of gaming laptops. My first chance to take a look at that Radeon graphics. It's also got the Ryzen 7 5800H, although you can get it with a Ryzen 9 as well, although this is the Ryzen 7. Perfectly good performance. Playable frame rates, as far as gaming AAA titles, you saw the numbers. Games like Cyberpunk 2077, GTA 5, and the like, you can definitely play them. Decent port selection. The only thing I would say is missing is an SD card reader. 720p webcam, nothing to write home about, although I thought the internal mics were pretty good. Keyboard was good. Overall looks and aesthetics were good. It's got a 15.6-inch full HD display. And we're looking at 240 hertz in terms of that higher refresh rate, which we definitely want to see, especially with gaming. Although I would like it to be a little bit brighter, coming in under 300 nits. Although not a terrible thing because it is a matte display. You don't get any of the unnecessary glare or reflections you'd get with a glossy display. So not really terrible in that regard. Would have been nice to have it a little bit brighter. You're looking at 8 hours and 44 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. 4-cell 82 watt-hour battery. Real world, I would say 6 to 7 hours of general mixed use. Of course, if you do gaming and stuff like that, expect less because that will obviously burn up the battery even quicker. They give you that 240 watt power adapter in the box as well. Now, as far as the price is concerned, I saw it at $15.39 over at Amazon. I'll leave a link in that description below if you're interested in finding out more information and where you can buy it. And I think for that price and what you're getting as far as this build quality, the performance, that all AMD throughout here, the GPU, the CPU, it's all AMD. If you're a big AMD fan, you want to look at this. I like the way it looks, it performs, and everything in this laptop is really good. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.